Hi everyone, I'm Reverend Suzy Burba from First Congregational Church of Braintree in Massachusetts, and I bring you yet another edition of Food for the Soul. For today's edition, I'm coming to you from southern Maine in the town of Wells, and my specific location is the Rachel Carlson National Wildlife Refuge. Before taking a look around, I'd like to share with you a little bit about Ms. Carlson. She was a marine biologist, author, and environmentalist, and she is credited with much of what we have as the modern environmentalist movement. A quote from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service website. She has been credited with launching the contemporary environmental movement and awakening the concern of Americans for the environment. She was very much ahead of her times in the things that she talked about and wrote about. So she had written a handful of books, and the most noteworthy and controversial of those books was titled Silent Spring. One of the lines that she said in the book that I particularly liked was that insecticides, calling them insecticides, doesn't do justice to what they are. A better term would be biocides, because they don't discriminate in terms of what life forms they're killing or harming. Many of the chemicals that were in use at her time were quite toxic even to humans, and there was little to no regulation on their use. Thankfully today there are more regulations in place, but there's still a lot more that we could do. One of the questions that Carlson raised in her book is about what right do humans have to dictate what lives and what dies and to alter the course of nature. So those are some things she wanted her readers to reflect on. And now we're going to take a walk around the refuge, see what we see. So far I've seen chipmunks and squirrels, but maybe some good birds will come up. So why don't you join me as we take a walk? The refuge was established in 1966 to preserve the salt marshes and estuaries for the well-being of migratory birds and other wildlife. I have mentioned in other videos the piping plover. That is one such bird that you may find here in different areas. And nationally, it is considered a threatened species. It's been upgraded from endangered species. But here in Maine, it is locally still on the endangered species side of things. So there's been progress, still a ways to go. And another little creature that you can find here is the New England cottontail. When I heard cottontail, I was like, oh, they're everywhere. But the New England cottontail is different from the eastern cottontail, the eastern cottontail being much more abundant. In the year 2000, the New England cottontail, there's a petition submitted to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services to have it added to the Endangered Species Act. Here we are, 21 years later, and it is officially considered a candidate for the Endangered Species Act. So I guess things are moving pretty slowly on that one. But those are some of the things you'll find here. Also here there are areas of what they call shrublands. So a shrubland can be understood as an area of young trees, shrubs of course, grass, wildflower that is very dense. So these areas provide homes and protection for things such as the birds and the New England cottontail. And their thickness makes them fairly impenetrable to larger creatures. And one thing, when we see them, we either completely ignore them as looking like a mess, and the ignoring isn't all that bad, to be honest, because the other things that we may look at it, depending on its location, and plow it down and destroy it, depending on what our needs are. The thing is, it's important when we destroy wildlife areas for human purposes to consider what is there. You know, do we have some endangered species or threatened species? Why are we taking things down, and how much are we taking down? As Carlson had talked about, it's like, what right do we have to decide what lives and what dies? And so finding balance is very important, and considering what are our needs, what are the needs of wildlife, and how can balance be achieved. So we're going to take a further walk here, and I will come back on for the spiritual reflection. In various sermons and a number of my reflections, I have mentioned scripture that talk about nature. Today I'm going to do something a little different and draw our attention to some hymns that talk about nature. So the hymns that we sing, we do for the glory of God, and we also do it some for our own edification, to remind us of God's goodness and the presence of God in our lives. So I've selected just a few hymns to read little segments of different verses. The first hymn, Morning Has Broken. Maybe in your mind you can be thinking of the tune as I read. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Another hymn, For the Beauty of the Earth. For the beauty of the earth and the glory of the skies. Hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and start of light. All creatures of our God and King. This one, really, I could just read the entire hymn, but just a few selections. Thou burning sun with golden beam, thou silver moon with softer gleam. Thou rushing wind that art so strong, ye clouds that sail in heaven along. Dear Mother Earth, who day by day unfoldest blessings on our way. And now come and worship. O'er the lovely realm of nature, by her sparkling fountains clear, through the forest and the valley, still the earnest call we hear. And my last choice, from Joyful, Joyful, we adore thee. Field and forest, vale and mountain, flowery meadow, flashing sea, chanting bird and flowing fountain, call us to rejoice in thee. There it is right there. Nature calls us to rejoice in the goodness of God. So I hope you have enjoyed this little time and this adventure here in southern Maine. I wish you wellness and many blessings until I see you again. Bye.